I can't promise you'll feel better after this, but I guarantee we'll talk about it, we'll laugh about it, and we'll go on with our day. So I recommend grabbing your favorite drink, grab your smokes, and let's hash this shit out. This is Talking at You, Season 2. Hello there. Hope everybody can hear me. Anyways, I'm 47 years old and Gen X. So I'm sure there's many of us out there. I think a lot of people that really do these things are the older crowd. But we always like to say, I drank out of a fire or a hose, or we, I don't know, we ate this, we did that, we turned out fine. So yeah, maybe. But did we really? Because we all lived through it. I was a child of spankings. I was a child of yelling. I was a child of being told no, and on every occasion, and to not have emotion. So I don't know. Maybe really, the way the days are now, it's like maybe it worked out for us. I don't know, but there's definitely some emotional issues there. I would have to agree with, but. And do you really in that scenario ever really turn out okay? I don't regret, I guess, my life. I don't think my parents worked with what they had to work with. It was a different time back then. There really wasn't all that access to parenting and classes and just things for children that had problems and stuff like that. And there just wasn't available for parents to fall back on back in those days. So they basically just were winging it. And a lot of them, they all had kids, way too young in life. And they really didn't have much more than what their parents taught them, which was even worse. So it's a cycle. It's definitely, I think, with the Gen X crowd, with me and stuff, it's like, I did the same thing. We followed our parents' footsteps. I had kids way too young. I got married way too young. People told me that it's like I couldn't do something, I did it. And that's the way it was. I was just constantly defiant, constantly trying to prove I was an adult. And I think that has something to do, with a certain upbringing. When you're constantly told, as a child, you can't do things, you can't do this, you can't do that. Just don't voice your opinion, just be quiet. And, when you become an adult and you get to do all that, that's the first thing you want to do. You want to voice your opinion. You want to be an adult. You want to do all those things you were held back from. So we did turn out okay to a degree, as far as, for sure. If it wasn't for my parents, upbringing and, telling me how life really was and just tell me to suck it up and deal with it, life would be a lot harder right now. And, you see these younger kids and, they're dealing with a lot of stress, a lot of stuff that kids these age should not have to deal with. But that's the world. And I don't know. I can't imagine, being the way I was growing up in a world today. It would just be, it's obviously, these kids have high anxiety. The school shootings are insane. These kids don't know how to deal with their emotions because they're dealing with, Gen X parents, and most of them eventually did eventually learn, but there's also a lot of them out there that just held on to their old ways, and they're just pounding it into their kids. And it's just, we're in a society now where these kids have a lot more knowledge than we had. I don't like the idea that their knowledge comes from the internet, but they have it. And whether it's good or bad, they still are getting something. So it's more than we ever had. We were always in the dark. And we didn't have any technology. We had Nintendo. We had our own anxiety issues. And anybody who's Gen X knows the anxiety that comes from Nintendo. So there's that. And we always joke, it's like, well, you didn't get to grow up the way I did. You don't understand. Blah blah blah. And is it bad that they don't understand how we grew up? Because you spoke at a turn back then and you got slapped. Dad comes home and had a bad day, you got slapped. If dad's drinking, who knows? Mom too. It's just, mom was stressed. I grew up in a family, they loved us. It was a close, family. Nobody, I don't want to say nobody beat out of anger. It was more stress. And, my mom, was basically living a single lifestyle. My dad did not help out one bit, 'cause that's the way it was back then. Women did all the work and got no credit for it. So, she was raising three boys, and we deserved every spanking we got. I know, see, right, just saying something like that, you deserved a spanking. That's how we were taught. He's like, you deserved it. And, we didn't go easy on her for sure. I mean, we knew when they were coming, and we just took them, and we understood it. It's like, basically, we were just taking turns. Like, whose turn is it today? I'm not taking the blame this time. I'm not taking the beating this time. It's your turn. And that's where life eventually got to. But, so yeah, I mean, I think to a, I don't know. I mean, it's crazy to say it turned out okay in a situation like that. Because I mean, I know I have mental problems. I know I have issues that I was forced to just hide and deep bury in my mind, and they come out. I mean, for sure. It's like you're taught, to hold it in, not say nothing, and then you just have a massive explosion of emotions, and it turns into anger. It turns into a fist fight. It turns into like all kinds of stuff that is just all bad. Over time, I mean, I'm 40 now, so it's taken me 20 plus years to figure out things I can't do. I can't go out and just hit people because I don't like the way that what they say. I can't just, I don't know. You just can't, the aggression. I had a high aggression problem when I was a kid. I mean, I was one of those kids, like everybody liked me. I was like, I was wonderful. I had the great smile. Everybody was like the sweetest kid in the world. And then, deep down, I had some demons. And those demons, when they came out, they were scary. And it was horrible. So I don't know. I mean, I'm not going to say my whole life was, beatings and anger and, bad, because it was a close knit family. We had a very good family. I mean, everybody stood up for each other. Everybody did their part. It eventually, is now torn apart, but there's other situations that happen. But it's just different times. So, like, you can't. I realized, because when my kids, I got two grown kids. One's getting married. One's almost finished college, and I've got remarried and started over because I don't know. I mean, the fact that they even got remarried. I mean, a lot of it's all stemming from that too. Because I mean, I was raised, the same way. It's like women, they do their things around the house, and guys do their things, and we don't have to explain what we're doing, but they got to explain everything they're doing. And I mean, my wife was raised that way. My ex-wife was raised that way. She was raised, you do what you're told, and you don't question anything. And it was crazy, but I didn't see it. I did not see it until the end when she started finally explaining to me everything that was wrong that I never noticed. And I felt horrible. And I do regret it. I mean, who knows if we'd still be married now? I mean, probably not. It was destined for failure. I mean, that's a whole other subject, but I mean, would it have been as bad? Probably not. Because we were both raised that way. She was raised, women do this. She was raised in the same kind of household I was. It was different. Because there was a double standard. You boys were boys, girls were girls. Boys were expected to do certain things, girls were expected to do certain things. And that was, that's great in a world where that's all you got to deal with. But, I mean, it's just, it was a crazy, crazy generation. I mean, we are just basically the don't give a shit generation. And that's it. I mean, because that's what we were trained to do. And then when you finally push us to the point where we break, we do some damage. So, I mean, you got all these Gen Zs and millennials in the news now, and like they're changing things. They're getting stuff done, and they were raised by Gen X's and stuff like that. So it's like they've learned from our mistakes. They've learned, through media and right and wrongs and stuff like that. I mean, so I don't know. I mean, parenting is a hard subject. I mean, I'm still learning it. I'm still every day catching myself, with anger issues. I don't hit no more, but the yelling is, I've gotten a lot better, but it's still there. I mean, the anger, I contain it, but there's people out there that do not contain it, and the damage is done. There's just, I mean, I've had everything. I've had, the belts, the hands, spoons. I've had, whatever was within my mother's reach. I mean, that's that's what we got hit with. And it's like, and I mean, you try to block it with your hand and all, but it's like, and then your hand is hurt. So it's like, and then you just eventually get used to it. I mean, it became a thing where it was an acceptable way of life, and we didn't think about it. And the worst part is, it's like now we all get together as a family. My mom, everybody. We actually joke about these experiences, which is the scariest part. I mean, deep down inside, we're all just like destroyed inside. As far as individuals and the things that we were held back from. Trying to who knows where we would have been in life if we were allowed to make our own free thoughts and make decisions and make our own mistakes. Who knows what would have happened? But we sit on the campfire, we joke about, the whippings we used to get and, how mom used to just, come after us. Ha 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 ha. It's like, and these are the things that just, it just amazes me. You can sit back and joke about this stuff. It's like, this is where, the cycle has to change. And is it changing? I don't know. I mean, it seems like the world the way it is, everything's going backwards now. It's like we're just kind of reversing. We were making progress, and now, I mean, if this new generation doesn't step up and do something about it, if they actually revert back, it's just going to be a dark world. So, in a way, and yes, we turned out okay, but in a really dark way, we did not turn out okay. I mean, every Gen X. I don't care what your upbringing is. You are damaged in a way or another. If your parents didn't hit you, they verbally abuse you, or they mentally. I mean, it's just the way it is. It's just the way they grew up. It's just the way they were taught. I mean, that's how it worked. I mean, you can be a rich kid and still have problems. You can be a poor kid and still have problems. I mean, it's just there's no money gap on this. I mean, everybody's got their own issues at a certain level, and everybody says, well, that kid, what's he got to worry about? He's got everything. He's got the car. He's got, girlfriends. He got blah, blah, blah. It's like, well, there's deeper, darker issues there. And everybody's got those issues. We've all got them. So whether or not it's we deal with and move on and pass down to our kids, or we learn from our mistakes, we learn from our parents' mistakes, and we try to be better people. I mean, we try to make our kids okay. We're not going to be okay, but the best we can do is try to make our children okay. So there's got to be more than me on here with these issues. And if anybody's got something they want to add to it, because sure, it's like, when it comes to podcasting, and like I do a lot of that, and then I got like this. You don't see a lot of younger kids doing this stuff, and that's what they. I think there's a lot of therapy in something like this. Even if nobody joins in with you, you're basically talking to yourself. You're hearing your own problems, and you can fix your own issues just by saying it out loud to something. Just knowing there's somebody out there listening, and I don't know. It seems to help. So yeah. You can't blame the parents altogether, because there are people, they come home, they're angry. The worst thing is that, like, there are people with like half morals. Like, they can't hit their wife because hitting your wife is wrong, but kids, they seem to see that as a gray area. It's like, well, maybe. It's like, no. And they make some stupid excuse why they hit their kids. Like, no, that's never okay. Yeah, I've learned. I'm not going to say I'm innocent. I was raised that way. I did with my kids. They're in their 20s now. I stopped that early on in life because I realized I caught myself. There was moments where I caught myself like getting way too angry. Like, I was throwing things. I was just instead of talking it out with them. And talking work, maybe it doesn't, but I don't know. What's damaging? Can mental damage be more damaging than physical damage? I don't know, because it's almost like an equal situation. You can sit there and say you don't ever hit your kid, but can you yell at them to the point where they have mental problems and they go to school and do some horrible, horrible things, take it on somebody else that they feel they have power over. I mean, that's bullying. That's where bullying comes from. It comes from the household. No kid wants to go to school and beat up on other kids. Nobody who wants to be that person. Nobody does. That is their power. That is where they get to say, and nobody gets to contest them. So yeah. I was gonna in grade school. It's like I wasn't a bully kid, but I understood early on in life that if I didn't hang out with the bullies, I I was gonna get bullied, and so in the process of that, I didn't help anybody either. I wasn't out there defending, the lesser kids that, were getting picked on because I didn't want to get picked on. And these are the horrible lessons that my generation has had to learn just to survive. Where these newer generations, I mean, they're helping each other. They're fighting causes. I mean, look at the stuff in the news they're doing. That's nothing to do with, Gen X. That's nothing to do. That's them. These kids at some point through social media or whatever they've been watching, whatever is causing. Maybe they're learning from our mistakes. I don't know, but they're changing the world, and all the older crowd, like the older generations, are trying to stop them. They're trying to bring them back, and I don't know. How powerful is it? Can one generation really make a difference? And I like to hope it could. I don't think that anybody in their 40s or any, like, I don't know, like a thin line there where the X even begins, but it's definitely not helping anything in the world today. Because most of your politicians out there right now, they are that or older, so they're trying to hold on to the way of life they know, and they can't understand that it could be a peaceful world without having all the chaos. They don't understand that. It's like you just don't understand anything. Then I'm one of them. I used to be. Maybe I still am, and I'm just learning to deal with it, learning to just ignore it. I don't know, because you also hear people, like they throw these ideas at people, like, oh, you can't say this, you can't, trans this, trans that. You gotta respect everybody's rights, but deep down, do they though? Anybody can just say that, but when it hits close to home, what do they do? Because I can say all day long that um, I'm pro trans, pro whatever. It's like, and honestly, I don't really care. There's, like I said, if we got real, there's certain things that kind of trigger me, with the sporting events and stuff. There's certain things where I don't know, it's stupid, but there's just certain things where they trigger me, right? Which that's a sign of, just the way I was brought up. That's up to me to decide how to react to that. It's up to me to decide if I want to take that farther and turn it into hate, or if I want to turn it into learning experience and understand the situation and learn from that, learn and try to change myself. The idea is I try to change myself from my hate, because I know I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Anybody with eyes can see differences in people. They can see differences in races. They can see differences in genders. They can see. That's there. It's animal instinct. We see it. We know the differences. It's just, what do you do with it? Do you coexist, or do you try to fight the system for no reason other than to fight it? Because really, what's going on in the news that affects me personally? Mean nothing. I got the blessing, I guess, if you want to call it even that. See how horrible that is to even say it's a blessing to be a white male in America. So, really, any protest, anything going on in the world, not deep down my problem. But I have daughters. I'm married. I have mothers. I got grandma. There's so many other levels to it. Like, if you can just think on a level where it's just you're the only person that is affected by anything, that's not possible. You have to think about everybody. So you can't just say, well, gays don't bother me because my kids aren't gay. Well, what if they are? Then what are you going to do? Would you rather just learn then, or get a hold of it now and figure things out? And I don't know. It just seems kind of stupid to not worry about stuff until it's your problem. And that's what we're taught to do. That's the whole generation gap thing there. Because I mean, these kids now, they're totally accepting of everything. They don't look at anything in any other way other than face value. I mean, it's just you're a person, and that's the way it should be. A human being is a human being. I mean, sure, if they want to dress like a woman and do whatever it is they do, then fine, whatever. I mean, I'm not going to do it. I mean, I don't see why I'd want to do it. But that's not really my issue. I don't, other than the fact I don't want to do it and it's not interesting to me. That's where it ends. I mean, I don't got to try to push my ideas on someone else because who cares? I mean, such a small, it's a small, the percentage of it. It's just so ridiculous that we're even talking about stuff like this because, I mean, anybody that's different, they don't really care. I mean, they don't want to be noticed. They don't want to be looked at as I get my own thing. It's like, and stuff like men's and women's bathrooms. It's like, I don't know. I mean, does it even really matter? I mean, who hasn't at one point when things are busy in the bar? And it's like, I've snuck into a girl's bathroom, went to the bathroom in there. It's like, I mean, I would probably rather have a urinal, but I mean, it's really in the end, it's not really that big of a deal. And I mean, all they're worried about is, I don't even know what they're worried about. I mean, you get a trans person in the bathroom, and it's like, what do you think they're doing in there? They're just, some trans guys walking into a woman's bathroom and just doing the helicopter. I mean, I don't understand where's the confusion here? They're going in there, they're taking a piss, and they're leaving. I mean, there's not really a whole lot going on in the bathroom. I mean, do you think they're just going to go in there and start molesting each other? It's like, no. I mean, it's just ridiculous. So I really don't understand the purpose of the bathrooms. Is like, just make them all unisex. I mean, you got the stalls, which in most cases guys aren't even using unless they're taking a dump. So, I mean, whatever. Let the women go use the stalls. Men are using the urinals. It's super simple. I mean, chances are, the men are going to be in and out real quick because, they're not washing their hands. They're gross. And women are going to, I mean, if anything, the guys get the cleaner bathroom now because, we've got the women to share it with. So we get the couches and the fancy foo-foo smells, right? Yes. Because I know that's not really how it works. I've actually snuck into girls' bathrooms and they're actually quite disgusting. So I think I prefer a men's bathroom. Anyways, that's true, guys. They don't have the fancy bathrooms we do. So, so I don't know. That's my 2 cents on that subject, but that kind of veered off a little bit. And I don't know. Anybody got any Gen X or any Gen X's out there, I guess, that have any experiences that probably screwed them up? I mean, I could write books about the stuff that my parents have done. It's just crazy how many things that our parents have done, stuff that we've done to our own kids that we don't even realize we did until later in life. And we have these stories and we share them. It's like, well, I didn't do it that bad. Come on. I mean, it wasn't that bad. It's like, and then you think about like, shit, that was pretty bad. Like, wow. All right. But yeah, it's crazy. It's like, and you get, and your grandparents, they're older, and then all of a sudden it's like, well, your grandparents went a lot easier on me than they did on me. It's like that's a bad thing. Like, they finally in their 70s learned that they were wrong, and they're treating the kids with more respect and better. So, I mean, some people it takes decades. Some people they can learn right away. So I don't know. I mean, I think in general, most of us did turn out okay at an expense. The ones that turned out okay are the ones that learned from mistakes. The ones that learned from their upbringing, ones that learned what they're doing is not right, and they can be better parents. They turned out okay. They're still jacked up in the head, and none of us ever got therapy because that's not what we did. We didn't do therapy, back then because that meant you were nuts. I mean, it just another example. I got a 5-year-old right now through another marriage, through a remarriage, and I don't know if I don't know if you would call it special ed. He's in the special education classes, starting to anyway, because we're looking into it, because he might be on the spectrum, which the autism spectrum, which I don't think he is. But my wife's concerned, so I'm going with it. Because what harm is there really to look into it? Because you can catch it early, problem solved, right? So I mean, I never had that. I mean, chances are this was genetic, and I had it, and I had to deal with it. Probably got a lot of spankings because of it. Probably a lot of punishments because we didn't know what this stuff was back then. Because nobody's willing to learn and take time and talk to their children and try to figure out what the problem was. So I'm going to do that. This is the part where I'm learning. And I mean, it doesn't make me happy when someone tells me my kid might have a learning disability or a social disability. I mean, he's smart as a whip. I mean, he knows more than everybody in his class. I mean, that's not the problem. It's more of a social problem, really. So I don't know, but I'm willing to look into it. And that's where I've grown, and where normally I would say no, I'm not doing that, because I had other kids before this, and they're grown, and they've reaped the damages of my upbringing, and that's how they were brought up. The punishment stopped, but I don't know. There just wasn't, even with my kids growing up. I mean, they're in their 20s now, and even back then, there just really wasn't anything for ADHD, ADD. They basically, at the beginning, just threw drugs at your kid and told them they were screwed up. That was basically it. And it took like 3 different drugs regimens to find out that it probably wasn't even ADHD. It was probably some sort of autism. And now my son, he barely graduated. He didn't even graduate high school. And it could have been because my negligence to look into it, school's negligence to look into it. I mean, just nobody knew anything back then, and no one was willing to try. And through, I don't know, it's just through education, through people, younger generations going to college and learning things and advancing. And now we know a lot more than we used to. So the fact that we're holding back educations now, and trying to keep the history from our children and stuff that helps them become better people, it's scary. It's scary that we're trying to revert back to the old ways. And I mean, I don't know where everybody on here is from. I mean, it's crazy. It's mostly the South. You have Florida, Texas, Georgia, all these places that are, I mean, doing these horrible things. And it's like, all they got to do is open up the world. Just open up the world to your kids. Let them figure stuff out with your guidance, and with, hopefully you've learned some stuff in the process. Experience is still the greatest teacher you can give your kids. Don't let them just run wild in life, because our life experiences still are worth something, and they need to be taught, because these kids, I mean, to learn on their own nowadays, it's not different. The mindset, the mental capacities are still there. So you send a 14-year-old out into the world with TikTok knowledge and Instagram knowledge, and that's all they know as far as how to be an adult, it's going to end badly. It's going to be so bad. So you got to reel them in. You got to let them, you got to combine your screwed up world with their screwed up world. And together, it becomes a pretty stable place for them to learn from. And I think that's where it's coming from. I think the parents that care, the ones that learned, are kind of meshing the new and old. You can't, if your kid's got Instagram or Snapchat or TikTok and you don't monitor it, I guarantee you 100%, there is some bad stuff on there that they're seeing, the stuff that they're doing. If you think you're monitoring their programs, you're not. All these kids, like my teenager, I've called her out on it. They have dummy profiles for parents and family and stuff like that. They basically call it their burner profile, which is what, when you say, what do you do on there? They show you that. But they have a whole other world that we don't even know about. And then you got to be like, do I interfere with that? It's like, because this is like their way of learning the hard way, um, which it's a scary world than we have. I mean, we learned the hard way too. We learn, you roam the streets at night, you might get kidnapped. You might. Um, it happened. Sure, it happened, but it wasn't as easy for pedophiles out there. I mean, there's a lot of things that happen. I mean, it's the same exact world, just in a whole different form. Um, I mean, because I don't know. I mean, a teenage girl nowadays. I mean, I'm not a. I don't know how the teenage girls even function in the world because from what I've noticed with my daughter growing up, the boys are right on par. I mean, it seems like if I look at myself as a 15-year-old boy when I was 15, they're right there. I mean, they seem like they're right on track. But you see the girls, it's like, wow. I mean, you can't tell if they're seniors, you can't tell if they're college kids, and the worst part is they know it and they're living that life. I mean, I mean, if they're peers, like if the boys at their schools are not living up to their standards of maturity or where they think they should be, they're going out to other schools. They're trying other guys that are that way, and I don't know. It's crazy how the youth is working right now. I mean, they got their heads on straight, but they also are in a dangerous place where they're trying to. I don't know. It could be our fault too. I think there are a lot of them are trying to live the stories we're telling, and that's where it's also dangerous because we tell the stories thinking we're helping them. In turn, they hear our stories and they want to live them. They want to they want to show us that they could do what we did and survive it. I don't know. It's a messed up deal. It's like, how do you teach your kids from experience without them wanting to go experience it? It's I don't know. It's like I'm told I'm supposed to let my kids, figure things out themselves. 'Cause that's how I did it. Was that good for me? Maybe it was, but was it damaging? I mean, I know it was. There's a lot of things I did. I mean, I was having lots of sex in high school, and do I want that for my children? Hell no. I mean, that was not healthy. I got lucky that things didn't get worse. I mean, I got a brother right now. He kind of lived by that rule. He let his stepdaughter just do whatever she wanted. They let her live an adult life and pretend like she was older than she was, and now she's 16 with a baby, and basically graduated school early, so she's going to miss out on all that life. She's going to miss out. She had to give up horse riding. She had to give up all these things because now she has a baby. So, was it a lesson learned? Sure, it was. But is that a lesson you want your children to learn the hard way? No, I really don't want my children to learn the hard way if it means the rest of their life has to be a whole different direction now. I mean, that's nothing anybody should wish on their children. Uh, and yes, I mean, in my household, I'm the hard ass dad. I'm the guy. And the wife tells me it's like you can't tell them stuff like that. You can't do so. It's just you can't constantly be on them and holding them back from things. Like, well, maybe I don't have to be, but I do know that so far I haven't had any kids in trouble with having babies or having problems with the law or having problems with for anything. It's like, and we'll find out, I guess, if I screwed them up or not. But as far as I know, I got one son. He didn't graduate school. I mean, we're hoping he's going to go get his GED. He's doing awesome. He's got a great paying job, so he's making it work. But he's living the lifestyle I lived. I made it work. Nobody wants their kids to make it work, but he got there. He got there without going to jail. He's not an alcoholic. He's not angry. He's not abusive. As far as I know, I mean, who knows? That's all something that eventually it happens, and all of a sudden you act surprised, right? But then there's my daughter. It's like I was double standard living. I mean, like my son's like he never really got really into girlfriends till later in life, maybe because of my speeches. I don't know, but she's she has issues with relationships, and she's not in a relationship now, and you always ask her, why not? Why this? It's like, and then I realize it's like, well, it's because I've scared the hell out of her They're thinking like all guys are evil and they're all out to just get her. So I've also seen where some of my advice has been bad. So, and you just can't know. You think you're protecting your children, and you are to a degree, but at some point, you do got to stand back. You stand back, let them know you care, and then just say, "I'm here for you." And that's where I'm at now. So I don't know. I mean, it's just so in the terms of turning out okay, it just depends what level okay you want to be at. Me myself, I had a mom that she didn't. She loved me. She cared for me. She wasn't like super nurturing. I mean, her biggest goal in life for me was to get me through high school. That was. I mean, she just admitted that was her only goal, to get me through high school, and that's basically all she did. She got me through high school and sent me on my way. So, and on my way was a scary, scary 10 years. I got married. I had kids. I was arrested. I mean, I was a free person. I mean, I got to do whatever I wanted as I wanted. And I didn't know how to deal with it because I had no one that ever told me anything other than just don't go to jail, don't get anybody pregnant. I mean, don't do drugs, I mean, the basics. And that's what I was sent in the world with. So is that helpful? I mean, sure, short term, that's helpful. That gets you out of being the parent's problem. But I don't know. I mean, it's taken me, I mean, I'm 43 now. It's taken me over 20 years to even be able to even comprehend the fact that, I mean, it's taken me, I'm up to now, I'm starting to actually still change things. I'm still realizing what I've screwed up in my life because I didn't have any guidance because I had parents that basically just wanted me out of the way. They wanted to make sure, they just wanted me to not be a criminal. And I'm not a criminal. In the terms of alcoholic, I mean, I had an alcoholic dad. All the men in my family were alcoholics, and they basically, any event we ever had, was alcoholic events, and it's like, they never condoned underage drinking, but we know when it came down to it, I was drinking underage. I mean, and I've, clinically, by the terms of it, I mean, I was an alcoholic. I mean, I am. I guess once you are, you never are not. So, I guess I still am, but you learn to control it because you can either live your life fighting and going to jail all the time, or you can get control of your problems and move on. So yeah, I mean, I know I keep coming back to this. It's like I'm trying to reassure myself that I'm okay. I mean, I am okay. I mean, and do you want to be okay? Or do you want to be great? Great is where you want to be. Okay is you didn't die. I mean, you survived. So there's that. Yeah. So I mean, I don't know. I guess I might try to get another subject in tonight. So I might end this here. Anybody that was listening, awesome. Thanks. I mean, if you want to join in, that'd be super awesome. Because I do I call my podcast "Talking at You," which is kind of I brought along onto this because it is exactly what it is basically, isn't it? And we're just talking at people is what we're doing, and sometimes one voice is in, but you got kind of on a deep subject. I mean, I talk about all kinds of stuff. So I mean, there's sometimes I'm veering off into comic books. Sometimes I'm talking about space. Sometimes I'm talking about, I mean, a messed up theory of religion, which that's a fun subject. But anyways, follow me. I usually follow people that, I mean, to be honest, I don't just follow just everybody. I follow people that contribute. And if you have talks on here, if you answer questions, or you're a person that you interact with other people and you have opinions. I love following people with opinions. I mean, because I love hearing other people's side of the stories on things. That's just how we work as a society. I mean, we talk to each other, we learn from each other. If you don't if you're not sharing opinions with each other, you're not discussing things, you're always going to repeat the bad stuff. Because how do you know someone's opinion? How do you know someone's way of life? How do you know their battles? You just don't know unless you talk to them. And I do think that a lot of our issues could be solved from that. I mean, there's so many simple things in the world that, we have gun issues that really, yes, the conversation is, are they gun issues? No, they're not gun issues. I mean, I have guns. I love my guns. I love shooting the shit out of things with my guns. Would I turn it on a person? No. I mean, that's just ridiculous. But people that talk things out don't have those instincts. They don't want to. Who wants to do that? Who wakes up one day and says, "Hey, I'm just going to go retaliate and I'm going to go get my revenge"? No. I mean, nobody wants to do that. Everybody wants to get along. We're a social group. We want to be social. We want people to like us. So, I mean, everybody's always like, when you see on the news, you see this, you see a kid on TV, you see the picture, and they go, "Well, that's a weird dude." I mean, obviously he was a shooter. It's like, where were these people when this guy was weird? I mean, you don't think maybe sit down with the kid, maybe, or just, I don't know. I mean, there used to be a time when I was growing up that, the parents forced us on other kids. Basically just they're hanging out with their friends, so we were hanging out with their kids, and their kids were sometimes weird. Or, there would be events where it's like play dates, they'd force us on the weird kids. And then, you spend a couple hours with these kids and you realize they're really not weird. I mean, they're just kids that don't have any kind of social skills. They don't know that they can be friends with people. And then, I don't know. So I'm rambling. I'm going on to a whole other subject. So no one was getting in here for that. So, yeah, check me out. Definitely I'll follow anybody that has anything to participate in. So, yeah, follow me. I'll follow you. And if you hear me talking, don't be shy. Don't, even if it's a subject that's taboo or something that you think you'll offend, you won't offend me. I mean, like I said, I'm a Gen X. I'm unoffendable. I really am. I mean, there's a lot of times I'll get into a debate just for the fun of it, just because that's what we do. We just love the rise, and deep down we really don't care. So yeah. My name's actually Rob, by the way. So if people always respond to me as talking at you, that you don't. So I'm gonna check out. I'm probably gonna come right back on real quick here with another subject. So if it's something you like, feel free to chime in. And yeah, so as I go on the podcast, it's been fun talking at you, and I will talk at you later. Bye.